Okay, the first question. So could you please briefly tell us the path you took to get your current career position?
Yes, so I'm a sociologist by training. At the time, I don't think studying sociology was a very popular option. But I was always very passionate about learning about social injustice, the way in which people and groups live, make decisions. So I thought that was a very interesting option for me to do my undergraduate degree. And to the point that I wanted to continue into research, and I did my PhD in sociology as well, in between work and employment and migration studies. And that took me to the UK. I'm originally from Spain, and I worked at the International Migration Institute at the University of Oxford. That was an excellent experience, and then I worked in Birmingham at the Center for Ethnic Minority Enterprise, and since 2016 I'm working at the University of Southampton in the sociology department.
Thank you so much. So the second question would be, who inspired you growing up?
So who inspired me growing up? I think I never had many female role models, particularly linked to academia, right? I think I'm one of the first generations in my country, in Spain, that actually managed to access free public education, higher education. So it wasn't that common to have lots of female role models in academia, or that you knew that were working in higher education. However, I have to say that there were many women in my family, very hardworking women, who always had the message that if you have the opportunity to get into higher education, take that opportunity, because that's going to give you freedom, that's going to give you self-realization, and we never had that chance, so you should take it. So there was that expectation that because of, in my case, my generation was one of the first ones with that possibility, you needed to take that chance. So that was a big inspiration for me, seeing how much they worked and without many possibilities to access education. So the moment I had the chance, because I had good grades and I had the chance to do it, I just wanted to make the most out of that opportunity because of their experience, but also the way in which they conveyed that issue about freedom and self-realization linked to higher education.
Okay, thank you so much. So the third question will be, and who or what has inspired you since you embarked on your career?
I think I have to say that I've been very, very lucky to find a group of female academics, particularly in the UK, in my field of expertise, which is gender and enterprise, who have managed to set up a network of colleagues who are also able to give us that critical thinking that we need. So lots of advice, feedback on what you're working on your writing, but also they have created this support group, which is almost like an oasis in the competitive environment academia is. And they are very good at supporting early career academics. So I've benefited from being part of that network of amazing female academics, and I'm also now trying to, in a way, pay it forward, also supporting younger women in academia. So I've been very lucky to have that support group, I have to say.
Yeah, fabulous, thank you. So the next question will be, in terms of gender equality, how far do you think women in academia have come, and how far is there still to go?
I think we've advanced a lot when it comes to gender equality in academia, so the gaps are narrower. You see more women doing amazing things and in posts that are quite senior, and I think we've seen a lot of positive things happening when it comes to gender equality in academia. However, I think there's a lot to do, and when you start thinking of how gender actually intersects with other indicators, maybe it's because I'm a sociologist, but we tend to look at these issues in a more complex way, right? So if you think of social class background or ethnic minority background or migratory status or disability or sexuality, I think if you look at it from an intersectional perspective in a more multi-layered way, you see that there's a lot of work to do to create a very, truly inclusive university. So I think, yes, we've come far, but there's a lot of work to do, and we need to look at this issue from an intersectional perspective.
Okay, thank you. this is a good answer. Thank you so much. So the next question will be, what one message would you give to the young women starting out their career journey?
I think I'd like to say two things. One is, do not underestimate how long it takes to get to a stable position, or more stable than the position you might have at the moment. Academic careers are a marathon, not a race. So I think it takes longer than you expect when you start. That's why I would say work with your heart as well. So try to be passionate about what you do, because probably that's going to sustain you in the long run. It's not so much about chasing the next good publication or the next good project, but also working from your heart as well. What you're passionate about, what you want to do, how do you think your work is making the world a better place? And the second thing is that when you are in a position to help others, I think try to do that, because you don't know how important you might be for someone else's career. And because I've benefited from that support from more senior scholars before, I really think the value of paying it forward is very important for other people's careers as well.
Okay, thank you. So the next question will be, what do you wish you'd know 10 years ago? I've thought quite carefully about this, and I think if I have to be very honest about what I wish I knew, would be how difficult it was going to be to become a mother and being competitive in academia. It's been quite challenging to, mothering and parenting in academia, because that's a conversation not many people have. I think not many female academics have, in an honest way, because we want to remain competitive and we want to discuss other things that have maybe nothing to do with our family life, but actually it can be really challenging. And I think academia still has many work practices from the past when it was very masculinized. So certain things that happen maybe out of school hours, or sometimes you need to commit to work very long hours to produce a good quality paper, and you have multiple deadlines, and all of that requires a very specific way of working and hours in the day that sometimes when you become a mom suddenly it's like, well, I don't know how I can actually do this. So I think I wish I'd known. I think I was a bit naive about that actually was going to be really tough to be able to balance both things. Okay, thank you. So what do you consider to be your proudest achievement?
Right. I think mainly in the field where I'm working, which is linked to migration, gender and enterprise, it's been rare to find contributions from sociology and sociology of work. It's been mostly within business and management studies, and I'm very proud of having brought into that field conversations from sociology. So for example, thinking of social inequalities in the area of business and management, that's not something that is very common. So I'm very proud of that. Like, for example, I've worked a lot on social class and entrepreneurship, and that's a conversation that you rarely see in journals, for example, in management studies. And then, as I said before, I've always tried to support younger colleagues as well, so I'm very proud of that as well. As much as I can, I try to do that. So I would say those two things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So our last question will be, and your biggest hope for the future?
My biggest hope for the future, I think I would really like to keep working on my area, and if possible to have a sort of a research center, research lab with sufficient funding to attract scholars and amazing PhD students from all over the world, and who can continue their work in the future. So I think that would be my hope or my wish for my academic career.
Okay, thank you so much. This is a quite amazing interview. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.